What's going on, everybody? C4 here today, continuing with my post-draft grades, and today we're going to be taking a look at the AFC South and how they did. Looking at the quick grades right now. Not a bad draft, no real weak drafts out of anyone in the class, but no really exceptional ones. We'll see what we can do. So we're going to start right away with the Indianapolis Colts. Their new front office there, and they selected at 15 MALIK Hooker, the free safety from Ohio State. I'm going to guess that they did not expect MALIK Hooker to be sitting there way at 15. He was a guy, you know, Jets, Chargers were probably rumored to take him. And he was there, sitting right for the taking at 15. He's going to come in and be their starting free safety from day one. I mean, they did invest a second-round pick in TJ Green last year. But let's be honest, TJ Green is no MALIK Hooker. You know, maybe TJ Green, he's a bigger guy, 6'2". Maybe you could eventually make him a strong safety. But, you know, MALIK Hooker's got to be a starting free safety for the Colts next season. Even though he only has limited tape, limited amount of time in college, that's still an A pick for me and the Indianapolis Colts. In the second round pick, 46, they selected Quincy Wilson, the corner from Florida. I'm giving that a B+. I think Quincy Wilson wasn't as good as Taybor, but that's not saying he's, you know, bad or anything. I just more see him transitioning to a safety role later in his career than, you know, being a lockdown corner for all of it. But maybe that's just me. I'm watching as a Gator fan. I'm pulling for him, man. I pull for every single Florida Gator that gets drafted. Certainly, the talent is there. Him and Taybor were, when they're on the field at the same time last season, they were very, very good. And I'm going to say that, you know, Quincy Wilson could emerge as the starter at corner with Vontae Davis back there, making, you know, these two picks really, really rejuvenate the secondary back there. So I'm giving the Quincy Wilson selection a B+ for the Colts, getting two guys that could instantly help as a rookie and for sure be beasts long term. Third round pick 80, they got TARELL, BASHAM, the outside linebacker / edge rusher from Ohio. I'm pretty sure he's from the University of Ohio, not of State. You know, obviously Ohio State just missed out on him. Looking at his size and what the Colts run, I'm pretty sure they might want to use him as a defensive end. And then that being the case, I mean, it's an open shot there. They got Kendall Langford, Marcus Hunt, Henry Anderson, Hassan Ridgeway as the defensive ends. Pretty sure TARELL BASHAM, if he has a strong camp and a strong preseason, could certainly eat into any of those guys' minutes. More so, a guy gets after the quarterback. I'm not sure really how strong his play against the run is, but it's still a C+ pick here for the Colts for a guy that's helping a defensive front that needs to get, at the very least, more depth to it. In the fourth round pick, 137, they selected Zach Banner, the big offensive lineman from USC. He's going to come in and probably compete for right tackle. Maybe they think his size is, you know, maybe if he's not quick enough to play a tackle, they might move him inside to a guard spot. But I think right tackle and right guard certainly could be, you know, battles to watch during this training camp. So I'll give the Zach Banner pick a C+, because he's a guy that's going to come in and compete for some meaningful minutes. Fourth round, 143, they selected MARLON, MACK, the running back out of South Florida, USF. I'm pretty sure he was USF. Yeah, South Florida. Marlon, great pick. C+ right here. I want the Eagles to get MARLON MACK in the fourth round. They passed on him, and then the Colts got him back in the comp picks. I think, you know, they got to get younger over Frank Gore. Frank Gore is no spring chicken anymore. I think a guy like MARLON MACK, at the very, obviously Frank Gore still a 1,000-yard back. You got to give him probably one more season, maybe dial down his touches a little bit. I think MARLON MACK's as good as Turbin or Ferguson, the other two depth running backs behind there. So that was a great pick in the fourth round. Their second, fourth round pick, 144, they selected Grover Stewart, who is a defensive tackle from Albany State. Giving that a C. I mean, he was a guy, I don't know a whole lot about him, but I remember and recall he was supposed to get drafted around, you know, 4, 5, 6, you know, definitely not a 7th rounder. Upside there from a small school prospect, so that's a C. Fifth round, 158, they got Nate Hairston, the corner from Temple, giving that a C. He's probably going to be a depth guy, special teamer right away. And then finish it up in the fifth round, 161, the guy I was screaming for the Eagles to draft on Twitter, Anthony Walker Jr., the linebacker from Northwestern, not related. I wonder if he's actually related to Wheeler Walker Jr. Drop him out, let me see them titties, let me get along, look at them tig old bitties. You know, the things you do to entertain yourself. But anyway, Anthony Walker Jr., that is a great pick there. I've given that a B. He was on a lot of people's boards for top 5 interior linebackers still. I think he is. You know, didn't test. Actually, personally, people thought he was going to test really, really bad, and I think he tested above expectations. It was just more so his production last year at Northwestern didn't really rival his 2015 tape, which 2015 tape, he was one of the top linebackers in college. But I think Anthony Walker certainly could come in and contend for some starting and meaningful inside linebacker snaps next season. So I'm giving that a B for an overall grade for the Colts of a B for that new front office that they have there. Very nice draft for them. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, now headed up by Tom Coughlin. We got new head coach Doug Marrone. I assume they get new OC, new DC. I don't know if they cleaned house. I'm pretty sure they get a new OC because wasn't Marone their OC last year. And they started things off in the 4th pick by getting Leonard Fournette, the running back from LSU, giving that an A. I will stand by my original take that Christian McCaffrey would be a better fit for the Jags than Leonard Fournette, but a guy like Leonard Fournette will really force the Jags to change what they were doing last year, which wasn't working, and really fine-tuning their offense to work around Fournette, and not so much letting Blake Bortles throw the ball 30-plus times a game. So this is an A. It's an easy A. Fournette, along with Myles Garrett and Jamal Adams, were my big prospects in this year's draft class. Very nice pick there for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I can't wait to see what Fournette plays like in Madden, as well as fantasy. There's a lot of facets to Fournette, not just Jags fans. Don't be selfish. Everyone else, every other football fan can enjoy him too. Then the second round pick, 34, they got a Cam Robinson, the offensive lineman from Alabama. I'm giving that an A as well. Cam Robinson was a guy for sure was going in the first round. To be able to have him slip, get him at 34, you can play anywhere. I think looking at, he can literally probably fill in outside of center any spot as a rookie on that line. Still needs to work. I think he's still a work in progress, not a finished product. But with Brandon Albert at left tackle, he's old, and I heard he didn't even show up to camp because he wants more money. At least you got some sort of cover in Cam Robinson. And I think Cam Robinson can start at left tackle. You just might not get the final product until maybe a year or two down the road. But he played left tackle in the SEC against, edge rushers that you're going to be seeing every single week here in the NFL. And he did pretty damn good, to be completely honest with you. So I think a guy like Cam Robinson can play both guard spots. He can play both tackle spots. And getting that versatility at pick 34, that is an A for the Jags. Back-to-back A picks, baby. But at pick 68 in the 3rd round, they selected DAWANE SMOOT, the edge rusher from the University of Illinois. D. I had DAWANE SMOOT as like a 6th-round pick, 5th, 6th-round pick. They got him at the 68. Just not a bad player by any means. I mean, he was productive, didn't test particularly well, but for my money, he's D. That's way too big of a reach. That's like a 2-round reach minimum, for my opinion. And that's, I can't just give the grade based on the player. It has to be the player and as well as where they selected him. And I just disagree really, really a lot. As that's phenomenal English for selecting DAWANE SMOOT here at pick 68. You're looking at their depth chart. He's probably going to be, competing for the depth spot behind Calais Campbell, maybe. I mean, clearly you have Dante Fowler and Calais Campbell will be the 2 defensive ends. And then you get Yannick Ngakoue, who's definitely going to be top depth after that. So that, DAWANE SMOOT, you just throw his name back there. I think there's much better prospects. Not only do I not agree with the evaluation, I don't hate the prospect, I don't hate the pick. I do hate the pick, that's what I meant. I don't hate the prospect, I do hate the pick. Especially with some other names that were still here in the 3rd round. Jags could have done a better job here, in my opinion, so that's why it's getting a D. 4th round, 110, they got DEDE Westbrook, the wide receiver from Oklahoma. Giving that a B-. Reports have come out that he had maybe the worst interviews in the history of the Combine. I think that I read a report that he got kicked out of an interview. What the fuck? Going along with the off-field issues, he's undersized. I mean, it makes sense that he slipped to the 4th round. Great pick though for the Jags. Even though they don't really need another wide receiver, why not? Best player available. You got Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns, Marquise Lee, Rashad Green. Now you got DEDE Westbrook. They can run an air raid offense when they want to give Leonard Fournette a little bit of a breather. I like that pick. He's a playmaker, so that's a B-. 5th round, 148. They got Blair Brown, the linebacker from Ohio. Really do like that pick. I think he's going to be a solid guy. To come in and probably take over for Paul Pluz. Get all Paul Pluz. So C+ for that. 7th round, 222, they got JALEN MYRICK, the corner from Minnesota, who ran a exceptional, I think he was like a 4.29 40. Really do like this pick. That's another C+. In the 7th round, you get a corner that's big-bodied, had pretty good production at Minnesota, tested very well, and was, I think depth at the cornerback spot is an area they should have addressed, and they did. That's a C+. And then finishing out at 240, they got the fullback MARQUEZ Williams from Miami. Clearly, like I said, they're switching that team up. They're going to be a power run team. They're going to have a fullback now, lead blocking for Leonard Fournette. I'm giving that a C for an overall grade for the Jacksonville Jaguars of a B+. Very well could have got in A territory if they didn't have the DAWANE SMOOT pick in round 3. But very, very good draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Moving on to the Houston Texans, who at pick 12 in the 1st round selected and traded up for Deshaun Watson, the quarterback from Clemson. For this pick, I'm giving it a C+. Just because clearly it was a panic move. Clearly they saw Deshaun Watson was the last quarterback on the board. They had to move up to get him, or else they'd be left, holding their dicks in their hands because they didn't select a quarterback. And, I really do like Deshaun Watson. I've said countless times he was my favorite quarterback in this year's draft class. But, it's a panic move. There's no way in hell you can't convince me. This move and the Bengals selecting John Ross, in my opinion, were the 2 panic moves of the 1st round. That's not to discredit the players that they selected. I think all these guys can certainly help their team out, but you could definitely see, that wasn't a move that they were comfortable making day one. It was something they had to make. And Deshaun Watson, C+ with upside. He's definitely going to compete for that starting QB gig with Tom Savage. I'm going to say I could see Tom Savage winning it, holding on to it for a couple weeks, and then Deshaun Watson eventually taking over if that offense gets stagnant. I am a believer in Tom Savage, but I'm also a believer in Deshaun Watson. I'm just going to be interested to see how that plays out. That's definitely a big-time storyline that a lot of fans around the league outside of Houston are going to be wanting to pay attention to. Then the second round at pick 57, selected Zach Cunningham, the linebacker from Vandy. I'm giving this a B grade. Good value. I mean, Zach Cunningham was a guy that the more and more tape you watch, the more and more tape teams watch, it seems like he was going to slip out of the first round and go somewhere in the second round. Maybe 57 is a little bit lower than he thought he'd fall, but it's still a good value pick here for the Texans that needed to add more depth to the linebacking core, especially, who they're going to play with Cushing and McKinney. Depending on what kind of package you're running, you have Merciless being able to get after the quarterback, and then you still have a spot open at outside linebacker, so Cunningham is going to come in and start, I think, or at least compete to start. I would imagine he's going to have a very productive preseason and get himself into some meaningful snaps. So there's a B. I'm going to change that with a B with upside. I want to see what he's going to do. Everyone knows mechanically his tackling is not where it needs to be, but athletically he's right there. He's able to get sideline to sideline as good as any linebacker in this year's draft class. So that's a nice pick there from the Texans. Then the third round pick 89, they got D'Onta Foreman, the running back from Texas, who before I was like I didn't really put a whole lot of stock into him. Then he ran a good 40 time. Then he showed the special that moved me emotionally as a new father, where his newborn son passed away before his biggest game of the year against Texas Tech. So I am pulling for this guy to beat out Alfred Blue. Fuck Alfred Blue. Goddamn, gotta be the worst injury replacement in fantasy football history. Anytime a Texans running back went down, you'd pick up Alfred Blue and he'd get you 40 yards and a fumble. So hopefully Foreman can push that. I'm giving this pick a C+ with upside, as maybe they want to address the depth behind Lamar Miller. I don't think that was an immediate need. Maybe it was just the best player available. I'm not exactly sure, but I do like the pick, and I'm pulling for Foreman. That's a C+. Fourth round, 130, they got Julian Davenport, the tackle from Bucknell. Maybe as big of a project player in this year's draft class, but they needed to address the right tackle spot, especially after Derek Newton basically lost both of his knees. Call him Cotton Hill from King of the Hill. Pretty sure that was a terrible, terrible injury. I remember I was watching that game. So a guy like Julian Davenport, obviously you wouldn't want to play any meaningful snaps this year, kind of a redshirt season. But, upside is there. This guy here is maybe the prototypical project tackle in this league, but a very, very high ceiling. So I'm going to say C+. They didn't reach for him. I think fourth, fifth round was about the appropriate round he should have went. 142 in the fourth round, they got Carlos Watkins, the defensive tackle from Clemson. I'm giving that a C+. There's a lot of work rate issue with Carlos Watkins. People think he takes plays off and stuff. That's why he slipped a little bit. But adding more competition to the defensive tackle spot with DJ Reader is always a good thing. And, best man wins. Second guy gets to be good depth. So that's a C+. Fifth round, 169, they got TRESTON, DECOUD, the corner from Oregon State. Giving that a C. He'll probably come in more so a special teamer right away. And finishing up in the seventh round, 243, they got Kyle Fuller, the center from Baylor. Well, I'm giving that a C. He was, one of the better, not a strong center class, but I think I had him as my number 5 center for the Texans. But maybe versatility, you can slide around to the guard spots, as the Texans probably have maybe the best center depth in the NFL. Nick Martin, Greg Mance, Kyle Fuller. Could be, debatably. But overall for the Texans, I'm giving them a C+ grade with upside. I'm pulling for them. I like the players they got. It's just tough to grade the Deshaun Watson pick because they clearly made a panic move to get him. But I'm pulling for it, man. I'm pulling for the Texans. I want you guys to, I don't know. I don't want to pick favorites out of any division outside of Philly and the NFC East. But I do enjoy watching the Texans play. So hopefully they're exciting next season. Finishing up with the Tennessee Titans, who had 2 first-round picks. At pick 5, they selected Corey Davis, the wide receiver from Western Michigan. Giving that a B+, surprised a lot of people. Really, after the Mitchell Trubisky, this debatably could be the surprising pick of the draft. Even though I had Corey Davis mocked to the Titans, if he's the guy, I already made this big old spiel about this. If he's the one player that you thought would help Marcus Mariota and this team win that division, then you don't wait till 18 because he probably won't be there at 18. You get him at 5. Maybe they got to read that there's going to be a run on wide receivers with Mike Williams, and then the Bengals getting John Ross. If those weren't panic moves, especially for the Bengals. So, I mean, it makes sense. And then Corey Davis is a beast. A lot of people draw comparisons to Terrell Owens. I think that's somewhat fair. Quite level of competition. I don't really give a shit about the level of competition. We saw last year in Philadelphia, Carson Wentz doesn't really matter. But I was just a little bit worried that the fact that he wasn't able to really show off anything at the combine, didn't test, didn't have very much, didn't go to the pro day because of all the injuries. I thought that was truly going to affect his draft stock because it was kind of uncertainty with what you're getting with Corey Davis. But they selected him. I like this pick. Giving a B+. And then their second first-round pick at 18, they got ADOREE Jackson, the corner from USC. I'm giving this a C+ with upside. I mean, ADOREE Jackson for me in the first round was the biggest boomer bust prospect. You saw him get beat a lot at USC, but then you saw also very good production at USC. He's an incredible athlete. He's so versatile. You can get him involved in special teams. And basically, the best way to explain Adoree Jackson, if things don't work out at corner, his floor is he's still going to be an elite special team in the NFL. Kind of reminds me of a Cordero Patterson of the Minnesota Vikings. You know, he was a first-round pick. They brought him in as a big wide receiver. Didn't really work out that well, but now he's one of the most dynamic return men in football. So I guess, you know, you clearly aren't investing that pick on a special teamer purely. But, I mean, with the upside with Adoree Jackson, if things don't work out at corner, which they very well could, his floor, he's still going to drop down and be the best return man on that team. I don't think they have Eric Weens is probably the return man right now looking at the roster. So maybe he's looking over his shoulder at Adoree Jackson. But there's upside here. They need to get another corner to bring in there and see if they can have someone that can compete and get next to Logan Ryan back there in the secondary. But I personally wasn't a fan of this pick, but I'm still going to give it a C+ with some upside. Third round pick, 72. They got TAYWON Taylor, the wide receiver from, I think, Western Kentucky? Yeah, from Western Kentucky. You know, nice receiver right there. Very productive career at Western Kentucky. Doubling up on wide receiver I was kind of like questioning the pick. I think they have more than enough depth at the wide receiver spot, especially after selecting Corey Davis. You got Rashard Matthews, who you brought in free agency. You got Tajay Sharp, who was, you know, pretty decent for a 5th-round pick last year. There's upside there. Harry Douglas is a veteran. He's not trash. He's not really anything special, but he's not trash. So, I mean, getting TAYWON Taylor, I mean, it makes sense because, I mean, Harry Douglas is not getting any younger, but I feel wide receiver going back-to-back with, you know, your 2 of your first 3 picks. You get 2 wide receivers for the Titans. You know, maybe go tight end earlier than what they did. But, you know, can't hate the pick. I'm giving this a C+. Then the 3rd round pick, 100, they got Jonnu Smith, the tight end from Florida International. I thought that was a little bit higher than I would have selected him. So I'm only giving this a C. I thought Jonnu Smith was going to be probably in the 5th, 6th round pick, to be honest with you. The fact that they got him at 3rd round is definitely, you know, Jake Butt was still there. Get Jake Butt. Bank on him to come back healthy, and then you might get the 2nd best tight end in this year's draft class. So not only do I think it was kind of a reach for Smith, there's also more favorable tight ends, in my opinion, on the board, so that's why it's just getting a C. 5th round, 155, they got Jalen Brown, the linebacker from UCLA. I like that pick. He's an athletic, rangy type player. Adds a dimension to the team that I don't really think they have a lot of, or at least a lot of youth at. So I'm going to say C+. Looking at their linebacking core, he's probably going to be potentially top linebacker depth after Wesley Woodyard and Avery Williamson. So there you go. Jalen Brown, C+. 6th round, 217, they got Corey Levin, who was an offensive tackle from Chattanooga. Says he's actually listed as a guard here, so we'll just classify him as an offensive lineman. That's a C. You know, he's a guy that was definitely a draftable talent. Then they finish up with 3 7th-rounders at 227. They got Josh Caraway, the linebacker, defensive end from TCU. Give that a C. 7th round, 236. They got Brad Seaton, the offensive lineman from Villanova. That's a C. And then at 241, they got Khalafani Muhammad, the running back from Cal, speedster. C. Just another depth guy, probably those 3 guys. Maybe Caraway, if I had to guess, would have the best shot at making the final roster out of all of them. Well, they're special teamers. That's what you get in the 7th round. So overall for the Tennessee Titans, a C+ for them. So overall, I gave the overall draft victory to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Leonard Fournette, Cam Robinson, DeDe Westbrook, and Blair Brown. Very nice selections, but all in all, very evenly matched, I would think, for all the teams here in the AFC South. So let me know in the comment section below if you agree or disagree with any of my ratings here. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're first time stopping by. Why not subscribe, you know? And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.